we're all together. We've actually been plotting this episode for like several weeks. I think months actually. And we're finally going to pull the trigger on it, and I'm going to reveal my new Cyberpunk Zelda game, the sequel to... did we actually name the old... Did we name the old Zelda game?
I don't think we named it. Oh, wait. Maybe you did. Oh, God, I can't remember. I don't remember, but you had like the synopsis and you called it like the back of the VHS synopsis and you played music over it. Like this dramatic, cyberpunk music. It was so good. I re-listened to the episode right before this because I personally am not like very versed in the cyberpunk genre and I don't remember anything we talked about 3 years ago. So I re-listened to it and Andy, you had this like this really cool synopsis with the music and like you guys have bomb ideas, so I'm excited for your pitches today.
Yeah, well, I'm excited too.
I do want to say that we worked on it together. You pitched kind of the story. You came up with famously Gan Incorporated, which is the most inspired name for a villain I've ever heard in my life. But we sort of worked together on some of the mechanics or like how it would work. But this week we both came up with separate pitches and we're gonna pitch them.
Now I think I do need your help, Adrielle, like fleshing out mine, because mine is a generic, like I've got the story idea, I've got like a little bit of the mechanics, but like I do think I'm gonna need like I don't know, like a little bit of fleshing out, because there's certainly some holes in and around that need filling. So I'll just put it that way.
I agree with that. I agree. Same here.
Okay, so Al, you're going to be kind of the judge here. You're just going to say like, well, maybe this game needs a sprinkle of this, a dash of that, whatever. And you can tell us if this game that we're describing sounds like a game that you would be excited to play. So I think I'm ready just to get right into the action here, Ree. And I wonder, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? It's totally up to you.
I don't. Why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, I am going to preface with first of all, so I created a pitch, and when I say I created a pitch, I stole an idea. I like literally this is basically like plagiarized. Okay, if you have ever watched the show ReBoot, which I plead and beg with everybody to go and watch the show ReBoot because it's so awesome. It's a Canadian cartoon that aired in the mid-90s. I basically stole a lot of everything from ReBoot. So it's almost like ReBoot meets Zelda. So that's kind of, I want to just throw that out there, because if I do my pitch and then someone's like, hey, this sounds a lot like an episode of a show that I watched when I was a kid, there's a reason for that. So my game is kind of like a traditional RPG. It's kind of like a Mass Effect type of game, where like, again, like I felt like one of the draws to me of like Cyberpunk 2077 and like games like that is like you could kind of forge your own path. And so we had that in the last Zelda Cyberpunk game, and we're gonna have it in this Zelda Cyberpunk game too. And my idea was that this is kind of like, it's almost like sort of Final Fantasy-esque in that there's like a lot of the same gameplay mechanics, but like the story and the setting and everything like that is changed from game to game. I guess honestly you could say like that's like Zelda-esque as well, from like going to Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess to et cetera, et cetera. So a couple caveats there just to get going before I make my pitch. I'm gonna play some Cyberpunk music over the prologue as well. So hell yeah. This game has a name. It's called The Legend of Zelda, The Twin Viruses. And let's go. And I'm going to pitch it right now. So, the prologue. The setting for this game is completely new. We live in a version of Hyrule named Hyframe. Hyframe is a relatively peaceful place, complete with a hero named Rauru, who wields the Master Sword and defends the city against various threats. Hyframe is made up of various beings, including the sprites, which are Hylians, the Zone AI, Gorgons, Binomes, and programs. Zelda is a program that lives a very sheltered life. Her father is a security program and systems administrator for Hyframe, and takes that job very seriously, often ignoring Zelda, unfortunately, touching on a little bit of Breath of the Wild vibes here. Her father is essentially the leader of Hyrule because this program has such an important job of administrating everything that runs in Hyframe. Zelda sneaks out one day and enters one of the most downtrodden areas of Hyframe, where she meets a young boy named Link and his friend Fox, who, yes, he's a literal fox. Because why not?
Why not?
Why not?
I love it.
Shout out to Tunic, by the way. Our friend Dave Lasby's playing it.
I just started playing it as well, and I'm loving
Yay!
it.
Oh, that's such a good game.
Amazing. When the next time I see Tunic on sale on the Switch, I'm gonna buy it because it's so good, and I want to replay it on my Switch where it was meant to be played. No offense to Xbox. All right. Link proves himself to be a valuable friend and asset to Zelda, and his programming is that of a codemaster, capable of altering any kind of code, even the very code that makes up Hyframe and its programs. Believing that Link can help alter her father's code to make him pay more attention to her, Zelda sneaks Link and Fox into the inner core control room to have him alter the code of Hyframe. Despite Link's best efforts, he is unable to alter the code, and instead of altering the code of Hyframe, connects it to the web and exposes the city. Now, the web is this dangerous, dark, awful place that lives in the... It's kind of like a fabled thing, okay? Where, like, you hear about it and there's, like... It's like the dark web, and it's almost like outer space in a sense, but, like, there's lots of bad stuff in the web. So you do not want to be connecting to the web if you can help it. Because once you connect to the web, you can get viruses and other stuff that comes into your system. Almost immediately after this happens, things get real bad. Several creatures come out of the portal to the web, including a band of pirates known as the Randomizers. The Randomizers...
Yes!
I love that.
The Randomizers, led by... I was trying to think of like a cool cyberpunk name for Vaati, because I wanted a Vaati character in, but I couldn't think of one, so I just called him Vaati. But if you guys have any ideas, you let me know, okay? Led by Vaati, immediately head to the principal office with the intention of uploading their code to randomize Hyframe. More alarmingly, though, this is still the prologue, by the way. More alarmingly, 2 viruses have appeared in Hyframe. The cold and calculating Megabyte, who wants to control and dominate everything, and Hexadecimal, the chaotic and unpredictable but incredibly powerful virus who just desires to see chaos. Now, Megabyte and Hexadecimal are literally the 2 characters from ReBoot, so again, I didn't have any better names for them, so we're just gonna plop them from ReBoot and pluck right into our game.
Oh wow, I love it.
You call it plagiarism, but I call it commandeering. So let's keep going.
Inspiration.
Yeah, we're gonna commandeer that boat. We're not stealing it. Okay. So unfortunately, oh no, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead here. All right. So Hexadecimal is incredibly powerful. The viruses are actually siblings, albeit with a disdain for each other. Oh, I just got a coffee.
I saw that.
Yeah, the clutch coffee. Thank you so much. The web mage Vaati. I like that. I like that. I see that in the chat. That sounds sweet. Okay, so we're still in the prologue here. So we have the 2 viruses and the randomizer gang that are in Hyframe. Okay, and Megabyte and Hexadecimal we know don't like each other, and that's going to come into play in a little bit. Now, as the prologue concludes, Link, Zelda, and Fox battle the randomizers at the principal office, while Rauru battles Megabyte and Hexadecimal. Unfortunately, both sides lose, as the randomizers they chase away the heroes and upload their randomizer code into the system, turning Hyframe on its head and turning it into a dystopian nightmare where everything is randomized. Meanwhile, Rauru is defeated and sent into the portal connecting Hyframe with the web. Megabyte then closes this portal, shutting out Rauru from ever returning to Hyframe and ruling over Hyframe. So, this is like the opening salvo of this game. This is the prologue to set up like the meat and potatoes of what we got going on. How does it sound so far?
So my first thought is like this isn't a direct sequel of the game that was pitched the last episode. It's more like a continuation of the series.
That's right. So it's okay. Not. Think of it as like the Twilight Princess to Ocarina of Time, which maybe even that is like kind of a. Think of it more like as the like Final Fantasy 8 to Final Fantasy 7 kind of thing. Like most of the same gameplay mechanics. I know you haven't played Final Fantasy, but like most of the same gameplay mechanics, but completely new world, completely new characters, completely new setting. The only thing that kind of like links it together is the gameplay more so than like the story or anything like that.
It's the Wind Waker to Ocarina of Time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, okay. So the Web Mage Vadi, I like that name. That's a good name.
You had a Vadi in your the first pitch. It was like VT68 or something is what you called it. And it looked like
I can't go against my code. I got to get Vadi in there somehow, you know? Like he's got to be in the game some way.
Which is what you said last time. You were like, I really like Vadi, so he's got to be in here somehow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who else are you going to put in? I don't know. Vadi's cool, man. I want to see more Vadi.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's...
I think I like the idea of the dueling viruses, and it kind of also makes me think of the Oracle games. Like it could be split off into 2 games, and you would fight a boss in each.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's actually like pretty apt, actually. Okay, so we're gonna get to the actual game now itself. Unless anyone has anything that they need clarifying with anything, you know, or are we good to proceed?
Good to proceed for me.
Okay.
We can proceed.
Let's talk about the game itself. So the game starts now, as your party consists of Zelda, Link, and Fox. I love Fox. I want to see like Tunic Fox in canon Zelda game.
I love it. Foxes are my favorite animal, so I'm digging this already.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along the way, you'll meet Megabyte and Hexadecimal, who have both taken up residence in Hyframe at different locations, and both will try and woo the player over to their ways. You'll be presented with dialogue and action options, which will correspond to 3 choices during the virus's influence over Hyframe. There's a standard option, there's a chaos option, and there's a control option. So, chaos gains you favor with Hexadecimal, control gains you favor with Megabyte, and standard is just that. It's just kind of like the middle. It's a safe, like it's almost like selecting Mario in Smash Bros. He's good at everything, not great at anything. So the game will branch in missions depending on which kind of choices you make, but the main objective will be eliminating the randomizer game from Hyframe. This will take up about 50% of the game, culminating in a great battle against the Web Mage Vadi. A key part of Vadi's defeat is his second-in-command, Matrix, turning his back on Vadi and aligning with the heroes, and Matrix will join the party once Vadi is defeated. Matrix is, you'll be surprised to hear this, but another character that's just stolen from ReBoot. So he's joining our ranks too. This is the Zelda ReBoot crossover I've always dreamed of, okay?
Yes.
So, depending on the player's choices, 3 options are available now. If a player has more control options, as in they've selected more control, like the Megabyte side basically, the party will go on to defeat Hexadecimal at her towers, justifying that she was too chaotic to leave unchecked, as it was the only matter of time before she destroyed everyone with her incredible power, and then you have to live under Megabyte's rule and deciding that is the lesser of 2 evils. The second option, if a player has more chaos points, they will go and defeat Megabyte at his HQ, justifying that for the most part, Hexadecimal keeps to herself and that Megabyte would never have stopped trying to control and corrupt Hyframe. Acknowledging that while Hex could destroy everyone and everything at any time, it's a worthwhile risk to take for the fact that she mostly is isolated to herself. Now, there's a third option. If a player has more standard answers, the party will conclude that they are unable to defeat either virus on their own and opt to create another portal to the web in an effort to go and find Rauru. After searching the web high and low, they discover Rauru and the Master Sword and vow that one day they will return to Hyframe to defeat the viruses. One day. Now, if a player embarks on an early but optional side quest to grab an item called the Glitch Key Tool, a 4th dialogue option becomes available, which is the Glitch option. Now, this is where things get spicy, okay? Which is the best answers and allows the player to get the true ending to the game. Everything in the original 3 endings still happens, with a few differences. Glitch lets Rauru and company return to Hyframe right away, and Glitch allows both Megabyte and Hexadecimal to escape the final battles at the HQ and at Hexadecimal's tower, respectively, which leads to one ultimate final battle against the two viruses, where the party takes advantage of the viruses' infighting and uses Glitch to force them to merge back into the virus from whence they originally formed. Kilobyte. This is the only form in which the viruses can truly be destroyed. The party faces off against Kilobyte and defeats it in a climactic battle. The game's final decision revolves around sparing the viruses and sending them back into the web or deleting them forever. Zelda and Link go back to the core principal's office and right their mistake by performing a system reboot, restoring Hyframe to what it once was.
Oh,
roll credits.
Reboot.
Roll credits, that's the game.
I love it.
Awesome.
You know, I kept thinking as you were talking about these characters, because I haven't watched ReBoot, so I don't know who these characters are, but in my mind, I was thinking, like, the two would be Kome and Kotake, and if they merged together at the end, they'd be Twin Robot.
Yeah, that's kind of not a far reach, actually. It's kind of the same idea, which is also canon in, like, the ReBoot show, which is, well, Megabyte and Hexadecimal did, like, originally, they were one virus together named Kilobyte, and that wasn't the only way you could defeat it, but I feel like for maximum dramatic effect, that's going to be the way that you want to go. Now, there was something that I did struggle with, because I knew that I wanted to have the 3 dialogue options, right? Like standard, control, and chaos. And I was like, well, how do we get the true ending? Because I feel like I was struggling a little bit there. So I was like, okay, well, we'll put in the glitch side quest or whatever. But I was trying to think to myself, like, what happens if somebody doesn't do the side quest? Do we just, like, accept that they get kind of like the lame ending? Like, is that fine to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, I feel like that makes it interesting because, you know, in my case, I'd be the person that'd be like, I'm going to choose the standard options thinking I'm going to get the best true ending, you know. Mm-hmm. But really, there's this, like, other factor that would give you what you would assume that all these good standard neutral decisions would get you. So I kind of like it that it kind of, like, twists the standard good concept on its head a little bit, and you don't necessarily get rewarded for the standard middle of the road answers.
Well, I was kind of thinking, like, it creates a lot of, like, reasons to replay this game, you know, as well, because you could like do, like, because a lot of this is also based on Mass Effect, right? And I don't know if have you played Mass Effect?
Nope, but it's on my list.
Rhea, you played Mass Effect?
I haven't played it personally, but my roommates all played it a lot, so I know.
Okay, so you probably know in, like, Mass Effect, a character will say something to you, and I think this is in Baldur's Gate 2, actually, but, like, you have multiple dialogue options, and, like, in Mass Effect, there's some, if it's red text, that means you can go renegade, and you can just be a badass and, like, kill the dude. Blue text is, like, your soft skills. You can massage the situation a little bit, but in Mass Effect, if you level up your I can't remember which stat it is exactly, but, like, it's something like communication stat or whatever. So if you level it up, then you unlock better dialogue options, which is, like, kind of the glitch option, which eventually, like, gets you, like, the best of every world, where, like, you get the best ending, right? So I was like, should it be a side quest? Should it be level up? Like, I don't know, but so glitch is also, go figure, glitch is also something from ReBoot that, like, it's like this super sick tool. And so, like, I'm just going to explain the general gist of ReBoot, since I've been, like, plagiarizing it the whole time here. So the general gist of ReBoot, to everybody that doesn't know, which is probably everybody reading this or listening to this rather, is that they're basically, like, sprites inside a computer system, and the user, who's, like, this mythical figure who would be like you or I, because in the, you know, back in the day when you went to play games on the computer, you would insert a disc into your computer to do so. So basically, like, the citizens of Mainframe have a guardian named Bob, and Dot Matrix is his partner, and Enzo Matrix is his, like, I don't know, like, little kid sidekick, kind of. And so they defend Mainframe from these two viruses, but also games that the user inputs. So when you would go into a game, you would, let's just say that it was like Dungeons and Dragons, you would reboot, like, there's a little icon on them, you'd reboot, and they would get, like, they turn into a knight, or they turn into, like, a mage, or whatever, right? And glitch was a tool that Bob used, and it would, like, give him information on the game. It could, like, he'd be like, glitch shield, and, like, a big shield would pop up, kind of thing. And so that key tool was a big part of ReBoot as well. So I wanted to find a way to, like, get that into the game without, I guess it could have just been, like, a standard weapon. Maybe that's actually better, but either way, I don't know. What do we think of this here? Is this something that we're going to be playing if it releases?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's the Wind Waker to your Ocarina of Time. Like I feel like the first game was much grittier, much darker. This feels a little bit more like we're going into the Oracle games, which is a little bit cartoonier, a little bit like
Definitely.
I don't know, brighter. So
it is, yeah.
Yeah, zany a little bit.
Yeah. So it does. I do like that it kind of feels like the Zelda series, where the Zelda series doesn't always have sequels. It has a continuation of the series, so that's where the direction we're going. And yeah, I feel like I would get these games whether it was a single game or a break off game or whatever because of the two viruses. Like either way, I think it would be a lot of fun.
I think I'd want it to be one, because I do like the idea that you can get like a true ending and defeat both viruses. Yeah. And in the show, they actually defeat Megabyte, but like Hexadecimal is kind of able to be like turned over to like the good side. I didn't know if I wanted to quite go down that path with this game. I kind of like just two evil viruses that are like both varying degrees of bad, but like some a little bit good as well. And I really liked the show too that like Bob and company did talk to Megabyte and to Hexadecimal like frequently, because like at the end of the day, like they all live together, like I have to live together in the same system, even though they're like actively trying to take it over and stuff like that. So I wanted to like sprinkle a little bit of that in as well. But yeah, there we go. Legend of Zelda, the twin viruses.
I want to say I just Googled ReBoot, and the animation style is like unhinged.
It's so sick.
Everyone should look this up. I'm serious, dead serious. Google it right now. You're listening on your phone. I know you all are listening on your phones. Just pull it out and look up ReBoot show, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
I beg you, like I just Google ReBoot
intro. I remember looking this up when you first told me about it, Andy, like years ago. My god,
this is my favorite show as a kid, and I still love it. Actually, I'm trying to get Samantha into ReBoot, and she's not quite into it. It is it's so awesome.
Who is this? I'm looking at a bad guy. I wonder if it's one of your bad guys.
Yeah, so Megabyte, and actually, so I'll give a brief description as well. So Megabyte is like this big, powerful, bulky virus with like blue skin. He's got like the Wolverine claws. He's got like this red, like wicked hair thing going on. But Hexadecimal is amazing. She's like a Harlequin, and she has masks, and the masks change in like. She doesn't have like a face. Her mask is like she can have a happy mask. It'll change right to like an angry mask. It's so cool. You gotta watch. Please, everybody, just watch like the intro to ReBoot. It's so awesome. And obviously,
I'm looking at Megabyte now. He looks like Zurg from Toy Story.
I don't know who that is, but I'll trust you.
That's Buzz Lightyear's nemesis.
You know, I've actually never seen Toy Story.
Oh, I forgot that. Oh my God, Andy Spiteri.
Like ReBoot came out in 1994 also. Like it's this is like
it's almost as old as I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will say too, ReBoot was one of the very first shows that I ever remember as a kid where it was like it kind of shifted from like episode of the week to like eventually it was like an arc over a whole season, which I thought was like so cool. So yeah, there it is. That's my game.
I have two questions about your game.
Yes.
One is what kind of art style are you envisioning? Because I feel like when you were describing what's it called, Hyframe. So first of all, there's this book that I read, I think in college, called Flatlands. It's like an old book. It's like a metaphor. Flatland. It's about all the characters are different kinds of shapes, and so there's like 2D and 3D, and there's like power dynamics between the different kinds of shapes. It's actually like not that good. The premise is better than the book, but it does remind me, like when you were describing it, I was like, oh, there's like so much room to like play with this visually in terms of
what is it? What was it called?
The book is called Flatland, I believe.
Okay.
It's from like the 40s or something, but it's like a math nerd book. But it I like the idea
that is
of,
cool.
Having
different
kinds of dimensions, like dimensionality, not like interdimensional, but 2D and 3D and different kinds of that's what it's giving me.
I think you're right. Like I think the animation has to be like crazy in this game. Like I don't know. Like I guess like in an ideal world, like I almost feel like it should be like Into the Spider-Verse style of animation a little bit, where like there's like all of these different competing art styles almost that like really make like this really amazing experience. That would be my ideal vision, and obviously a healthy dose of like you know, like the ReBoot style as well, like the crazy binomes and stuff like that from those games, and like just some of like the wacky characters and stuff like that, I think would be great, particularly like to fill out the world in like terms of like NPCs and like stuff like that. I think would look like spectacular. But I really like that, actually. I think you're onto something there.
And then my other question was about would there be dungeons? Would there be like
yeah.
I'm forgetting the details of how you get from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. So there would have to be dungeons, because I mean, like basically the first half of the game is like finally getting to the randomizer like gang in order to defeat them. So I think there's got to be like 3 dungeons before that you need to do. Now I didn't actually flesh out what those dungeons might be. Maybe it's like, I don't know, I probably should have done this, but I didn't. But I think you got to do 3 dungeons, and then you go to like, kind of like your, like almost saying like A Link to the Past, when you go to like Hyrule Castle to defeat Aghanim. And then when you defeat Vaati there, then it's like, okay, we got like 3, I guess like 3 more dungeons after that, even though like the way that you choose to play the game kind of depends on the amount of dungeons that you're actually going to get. So maybe like, yeah, maybe you have like your 3 standard dungeons, your like mid-game kind of dungeon there. And then after the fact, like depending on your choices, there's like almost like, you know how the lead up in Tears of the Kingdom to like doing a dungeon, there's like the defending Gerudo Town or whatever. Let's say that you're like taking the Chaos option, and you're going to storm Megabyte's tower. There's like a similar kind of progression where like you got to do, and I would make it much longer, obviously, like a series of quests, like to finally break into Megabyte's like tower and then fight him. But yeah, very good question. And then I think like the web, there should be a dungeon in there too, but I didn't flesh it out as fully as I should have.
No, I love the idea of different like that there might be full sections of the game, like full dungeons that you don't get if you know, depending on what you do. I think that's really cool. That's not just like, oh, different dialogue options or something. It's like, that's a hugely, like the game breaks off into 2 different paths, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool.
That definitely leaves room for like the replayability, because like if you think of a game like Baldur's Gate, it has like 1700 story styles that is just insane, but the story elements, like the stuff you go through, is all the same. So like you don't kind of miss anything. I mean, unless you decide not to go over there. But like, I like the idea that you would purposely miss something if you chose another option, and then you could replay the game and like choose the complete opposite way and basically play a brand new game.
Yeah, and I think like the game wouldn't have, like, I think it shouldn't be like 100-hour monster if you're gonna do that either. Like maybe make it like the same kind of length as almost like Fire Emblem 3 Houses, actually, which is like, I feel like a very appropriate length considering you go and you replay that game like 3 times potentially. Is that too long, you think, Al?
It took me like 120 hours to play 3 Houses, so.
I feel like it took me 50 hours to do like one. Like if it was like the Black 40, Eagle. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean like one house I would take 120 hours, but I would also spend time with my characters like every single break, you know? So maybe I was purposely giving myself a lot of time there. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. If it's like a 35, 40-hour game, you know, or like a Tunic-sized game, and then you could replay it.
Maybe it would be like as long as like a standard Zelda game. You know what I mean? Like a Twilight Princess or like a Skyward Sword, like one of the longer, beefier Zelda games. And then with the intention, obviously, that you replay it in a different way and then replay it in a different way. I don't know. Maybe you could even put in like you only get the glitch side quest once you've beaten all 3. I don't know. Maybe not actually, but either way, like yeah, I think it'd definitely be something that you'd want to like replay a couple times. So yeah, Legend of Zelda: The Twin Viruses. There we go.
Twin Viruses is so tight. I love that title.
Hell yeah.
Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.